What up, what up, what up? This is your boy Mike, and you are watching the channel Mike Likes It. And today we will be talking about different news cycles, stuff going on. Let me turn off this air filter. Got this little air filter going on in the back here. I'm gonna take a dab off screen real quick. Yeah, take a little dab skis. And we're gonna get started with reading some news. San Francisco, San Jose, all sorts of stuff today. So let's get that stuff going. Let's see. Oh, everything is moving on my Twitch. Over here. Let's see. Go to Stream Manager here. Check this out. Make sure everything is working. Cool. Things are working, man. What up, viewer? Oh man. What's going on, chat? We're gonna take a dab first and kind of get things going. Alright. San Francisco supervisor pushing for Tenderloin to get full service grocery stores. Yes, it's because people don't want to walk in the Tenderloin or what? Let's read it. Ah, clicked the wrong guy. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with my computer? Alright. What I'm really doing is trying to take this dab real quick. Actually, give me a second. Let me smoke first before we even get shit started, man. I need to smoke. Boom, boom. Got my little piece out here. I got a little rye craft. I think it's expensive, my guys. You got. Oh snap! Already? Where's the little cat? Oh, I didn't even got the weed set up or nothing. Hold up. All right. God damn. Sometimes I'm just not set up for this morning. It's my first few times trying to live stream. All right, guys. San Francisco supervisor pushing for Tenderloin to get full service grocery stores, man. San Francisco supervisor Dean Preston is making a push to get Tenderloin resident a full service grocery store. Preston presented a resolution on Tuesday calling for collaboration from various San Francisco agencies to address food insecurity in the Tenderloin. So basically, in the Tenderloin, there's pretty much no grocery stores. And if there is a grocery store, it's like one of those, they're kind of like bodegas, I guess you can say. Like liquor stores, stores with like, just like few items. There's like no Safeway in the Tenderloin. There used to be a Whole Foods in the Tenderloin, but that's gone. And it's literally gone because it got robbed every single day, like crazy amounts, okay? So people couldn't handle that no more, right? So unfortunately, when that happens, you know, you uh, you're gonna be able to not feed the tenderloin. There's no one there that wants to be in business in the tenderloin. The tenderloin community has consistently expressed its desire for a grocery store for years. Preston said, "I believe the city must step up and bring a full-scale grocery store so Tenderloin residents have a place to buy all their grocery staples within walking distance from their homes at price points that they can afford." And that's really important because a lot of people in the Tenderloin are not well off. Okay, there's a lot of rent control over there. There's a lot of issues over there. Personally, I wouldn't live in the Tenderloin if you even paid me to. I would hate to live there. I pass by Tenderloin every day, man. Trust me. It smells like piss out there, man. It's gross. All right. They must step up, but who's gonna step up? What store, man? They already put Whole Foods in there, and then they closed it. Excuse me, guys. Let's go to San Francisco's. Let's see what new things are in San Francisco today. This is super sad. 3-month-old infant dies days after the West Portal crash. So, like a few days ago, there was a huge accident on in San Francisco where it involved a SUV plowing into a bus stop, and then the bus stop had a few people waiting at the bus stop, and uh, it was pretty much a whole family. Two kids. One was a 3 month-old baby. One was a 1 year old baby, and husband and wife. And pretty much, fuck, it's such a sad thing. But three people had died that day. The baby was still okay, but was in highly critical condition, and unfortunately, the baby did not make it. So this is the news article about that one. Man, issue is basically this lady. She was like 78 years old, and we still don't know what happened. So we're still just waiting for more reports on what's actually happening. But she was booked on vehicular manslaughter and driving the wrong way and speeding. But you know, she was 78 years old. I mean, she could have been having some health issues. We don't know yet. We don't know the true story or the full story, so we don't want to assume anything, especially uh, as we're waiting for toxicology results and other things like that. Yeah, so that's what's going on in San Francisco. That's sad, man. Let's see what else. Look at that. That's nice. Man arrested after 20 vehicle tire slash in Richmond district. Oh my goodness. People are crazy. Man arrested after 20 vehicle tires slash in Richmond district. San, San Francisco police arrested a 22-year-old man in connection with a vandalism incident where over 20 vehicles had their tires slashed in the city's Richmond district. Sounds crazy, man. That guy has something wrong with him. The San Francisco Police Department said in a press release that officers from the Richmond station responded around 9 p.m. Monday to reports of vandalism suspect slashing vehicle tires near 12th Avenue and Anza Street. Officer located and detained Ozil Torres of San Francisco, who matched the description from a nearby incident that had just occurred, police said. That's crazy, man. Yeah, people are crazy. Trader Sam on Geary. What's that? It's just a store. San Francisco with the speed cameras today. SF a step closer to installing dozens of speed cameras. Yeah, I think we need some cameras in San Francisco. There's so many crazy things going on in the city that people don't even know about, and people are definitely driving very fast in San Francisco sometimes when you cannot even go that fast in San Francisco. It's like 25 to 35 miles per hour, my guys. And these guys are going like 40, 50, 60 miles per hour on these 35 mile per hour roads. Definitely a no-go. They're going to put them in different locations, blah, 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 speed cameras, fines from $500 to $200. Let me see, respect to safety program. There won't be moving violations, but there'll definitely be fines. So you won't get a point on your record, but you'll definitely got to pay some money if you drive too fast. All right, man. Let's hit up the YouTube real quick. See what's good. I don't want to view my channel. Hold up. Let me switch to the channel that I like. All right, let's see. Let's go to the news. Let's see. This one's crazy, guys.
Exclusively by the ABC 7 News I-Team shows just how bad the problem is and which neighborhoods are being impacted the most.
ABC 7 News I-Team reporter Stephanie Sierra went to see for herself, and she's here with us to show us what she found. Stephanie?
Yes, Dan and Amma, we did a ride-along through East Oakland, and within minutes, we saw dozens of abandoned cars that were reportedly stolen weeks or many months ago, but they just sit there. And as we found out, certain areas are being targeted for these so-called dump sites.
You're not going to believe what you're going to see, but we'll take you there.
It's a problem that's both hidden
Put your camera down.
and glaring at the same time,
Now, to your right, that just happened.
causing neighborhood chaos
You approach them, but they shoot you first.
on one street at a time.
This is unbelievable. See?
Stolen cars are being dumped all over Oakland.
Right here, this one.
You see them everywhere.
See that?
In residential streets,
Right in the red zone.
business districts,
That was just abandoned.
even on the train tracks.
Stolen, abandoned.
There's so many, the
Crazy.
city is leasing space just to have somewhere to put them.
See the guy towing them in, dumping them here.
Huge lots like this one. This is where they're taken. That's been at capacity with more than 2,000 inside.
See, and the further back, they're stacked on top of each other.
Some get picked up, some don't.
We witnessed all of this during a ride-along with Councilmember Noel Gallo, his staffer Preston Turner, and our security guard. Within 15 minutes,
So look on the corner.
Turner pointed out at least 25 abandoned cars within a 2-mile radius. After 30 minutes, that turned into
What you think?
At least 50.
At least.
roughly 50 abandoned cars.
See that?
Gallo says the problem has tripled on the streets this year. Why?
What I heard yesterday, we don't have space to locate them.
The city's storage lots for abandoned cars are packed and expensive.
We do not own the lot. We're renting the lot.
Gallo says the city is paying close to $1 million each year for lots like these used to store abandoned cars. These
Damn,
cars
$1 million
stored here
every
were in places Gallo calls illegal dump sites.
That's an illegal dump site. You're not supposed to be charging people to dump your trash and then they haul it.
Gallo says these are operations where people strip stolen cars, then sell the parts to nearby auto shops. Then what's left gets dumped.
See all these cars here? They haul them in here, they strip them. See, they're stripping the tires. See them right there? Look.
He says some are run by known gang members.
Just be careful, okay?
Yeah. Don't put your camera down.
Why doesn't the cop pull up, find out that it's stolen, and arrest the guys that are stripping the car?
That's the challenge.
Why don't they do that?
Priority. They will deal with violent crime.
Some of the cars have citations waiting to be towed, while most are just sitting there and look, well, not pretty.
Missing a tire.
Yeah.
It's abandoned.
Collecting dust for 3 weeks, 1 month, 4 months. Who knows how long?
Damn.
A new report from Oakland's Department of Transportation shows more than 13,800 abandoned cars reported just within a 6-month time period last year. To put that in perspective, our analysis during that same time frame found Oakland has more abandoned cars than San Jose and San Francisco, cities with roughly double the population size.
And we ask for help, and they say, well, our procedure in Oakland, no pursuit. You're on your own. Exact word.
The abandoned cars are not only an eyesore,
Some park in front of us, can we leave? Hard to
See them?
or blocking access to this elementary school,
They had these abandoned cars on the sidewalk.
which left teachers without parking.
It's just not fair. They clean it up. They're back like ants.
Residents like Bernadette Burton are fed up.
17th and Jackson. Every month we have a stolen car there. This is for the whole month. Yeah, the whole block reports it. There's nothing they can do.
They just say no? OPD no longer will respond to reports of abandoned vehicles unless it's parked in front of your driveway and you can't get into your house. If not, the Oakland Department of Transportation is authorized to respond. But as you can see, that can take a while. Residents have to wait for it to be reported, cited, and then in some cases, get stuck with the tow bill.
It happened to my assistant in my office. She had to pay like close to $500. Why, if you steal my car, do I have to pay?
A valid question, right? Why should you have to pay for someone else's crime? That's a question that's being discussed by city of.
Let's go to AI, see some news. A lot of things about the Blackwell chip. That's the news. Let's see what else is going on.
Breaking news as it pertains to Apple. Just breaking just a few minutes ago that the U.S. Justice Department suing Apple in an antitrust case over the iPhone. Joining us now with the latest, Ed Ludlow. And Ed, what is the basis of this lawsuit?
Yeah, the accusation from the DOJ in 16 different states is that Apple has violated antitrust laws by having dominance or outsized influence over the distribution of apps. And by extension, that those policies prevent consumers from having a choice of moving away from an iOS-based handset, of which they're the maker. This is confirming something Bloomberg reported last night, almost to every single detail, but it's important to note that in the session, we're now down 2.9%, and those declines that continue to accelerate. It's the third time that the DOJ has gone after Apple in the last decade or so. They've looked at other issues like the pricing of ebooks on the iPad, for example. As you know, it follows the Supreme Court case or the court case around the battle with Epic. But you know, those stock declines of 2.9% obviously having an impact as we hit 3% at the index level as well, of Apple being the biggest drag on the S&P 500.
Yeah, it's quite traumatic, of course, this reaction in Apple. Already shares are down about 10% for the year, so the bad year just gets worse here, Ed. And I mean, you mentioned some of the other antitrust concerns that Apple is facing. Of course, we also had the European Union earlier this month suing or fining Apple for shutting out its rival music services on the iPhone. It feels like we're talking about something that is just going to continue to haunt Apple.
Yeah, Apple now down more than 3% in the session. You know, that 1.8 billion euro, $2 billion fine, the logic, if it was that Apple gives the consumer no choice. If you want Spotify, who are the main complainants in that case, you can only get the subscription and pay for it through the iOS system. What the European Union and the complainants wanted to see was the ability to go on a website on a different handset or a laptop and sign up or pay for it outside of the iOS ecosystem, therefore allowing for competitive pricing. In other words, Apple would not allow app developers to steer consumers towards a better deal. And this DOJ antitrust lawsuit is similar in the sense that it looks at the distribution.
Poor Apple, I guess.
Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about a situation that I covered yesterday because there's an important update to that story. And of course, this relates to the Queens woman who was recently arrested for trying to change the locks on squatters, who of course in the city of New York are denoted with God tier rights above the homeowner. And she was not allowed to do that because it's considered a tenant-landlord dispute issue, even though, again, these people have no right to be in the property. Now, we're going to get into this because vigilantes have shown up. They've tried to remove the people from the property, and we can't have this happening, but I understand the frustration. Now, before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And remind you that on Saturday, April 27th in Austin, Texas, I will be at the Minds Fest. Link to tickets in the description of this video.
How about that? A squatter standoff. A property owner confronts a group of people she says moved into her $1 million home in Queens. And our cameras were rolling as dozens of officers showed up.
So quick refresher for those of you out there in the audience. In the city of New York, for some ungodly reason, squatters' rights kick in for individuals at 30 days. So what this means is that if somebody gets into your property and they manage to not even stay the full 30 days, but to produce paperwork that says that they're there 30 days, and then you launch an investigation in order to get them out because law enforcement is completely powerless in this situation, and that extends beyond the 30 days, they end up having the rights of tenants, and then they're subject to basically a 2+ year long eviction process. I think the average time is 20 months, but a lot of times, especially with these independent homeowners, this goes on much longer than that, and this has become quite the lucrative scam for a lot of people in the city of New York, especially since they passed Local Law 53 in around 2020, which guaranteed people who are tenants the right to free representation. So essentially what these people do is they squat in locations that they find listed for sale or listed for rent, hope they don't get noticed for 30 days, produce fraudulent paperwork. When the police show up, the police are told that they have to, by law, say that it's a civil issue and that the homeowner has to go into the eviction process. And if the homeowner tries in any way, shape, or form to physically remove people from the property, that's an illegal eviction, which of course is a criminal issue, because why we even bother having the same standards for the two different parties in this situation, man. And they end up getting arrested. And that's exactly what played out in the video that we covered yesterday. Now look, a lot of people were very passionate about this story, myself included. For a little bit of context, for a good long period in my childhood, that actually used to be my neighborhood. I didn't live particularly close to this house, but I did live in this area, this general area, for a while. So when I'm looking at these properties, I'm like, that's the stuff I grew up around. These are the people that I grew up around, not the squatters, but the homeowner. And to me, it's absolutely tragic that this home that was left to her by her dead parents that she puts up for sale ended up being stolen from her, and the law is powerless to aid her. In fact, the law goes out of its way to hurt her by granting all of these privileges and immunities and special protections and the right to free representation.
When the owner showed up, I politely explained that this was my house now and they need to leave. So they call the police and I show them my lease agreement and the utility bills, and they tell the owner that this is a civil matter and they've got to sue me. This made the owner super angry, so she lawyers up and tries to evict me. Of course, I can't afford a lawyer, so I call up a tenant advocacy group who gives me a lawyer that's 100% free and funded by taxpayers.
But other people covered this as well, and very passionately as well. Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks, along with Cenk Uygur, actually did a really good segment on this, and they actually combined it with the other squatting story that I recently did on this channel, where an elderly couple bought a home so that their disabled son, he had Down syndrome, an adult living with Down syndrome, could be near his brother who lived in the same neighborhood. so that when they passed away, it would be an easy transition for their adult son with Down syndrome. Well, guess what? In that situation, you had another squatting issue, and that story was even worse because that guy was renting out the rooms to other people, which, by the way, appears to be what's happening in this Flushing story with this woman who was arrested on camera yesterday, but we just don't have the proof of that. We don't have the listings of that as of right now. And yeah, they ended up in a situation, and they're still in that situation, by the way, where they can't turn off the electricity because that's considered acting like a slumlord and they could be criminally charged. And the person squatting in the property who's incentivized to destroy it and to make this as bad for the homeowner as possible in order to get a cash settlement is actually opening up the windows, running the gas and the heat and the air conditioning at the same time.
So that prevents everything from going forward.
Meanwhile, they've been paying all the bills,
leaving windows wide open 24 hours,
including thousands of dollars in utilities,
and costing the family for the home that they're stealing from them $2,500 a month in electric bills. And believe me, as somebody who has to pay electric bills to the same company, being a New Yorker, I'm telling you, that is billed monthly. So the city of New York has created a situation where people are incentivized to do this. If you just get in any property for 30 days, you forge documents or whatever, even if you're caught before the 30 days, as long as you can drag out the initial investigation beyond the 30-day mark. And by the way, everything with the government takes more than 30 days, just in case you were wondering, then you can live in a property for up to 2 years. The average time for an eviction is 20 months. You can have all of your electric bills and all that covered by the actual homeowner because it's illegal for them to shut off your electric or power. Even if they run out of money and you end up having your power or electric shut off, you can then sue the homeowner for that, which is ridiculous and absurd. And when they do take you to court and have to lay out the big bucks for an attorney in order to evict you, you don't have to fight it on your own. You can quite literally get a free taxpayer-funded eviction attorney to fight on your behalf, which ultimately ends up resulting in a settlement for you. And I actually reference this video over and over again as it relates to Portland because a lot of cities that pass this free lawyer for eviction court thing are having this exact same problem.
This made the owner super angry, so she lawyers up and tries to evict me. Of course, I can't afford a lawyer, so I call up a tenant advocacy group who gives me a lawyer that's 100% free and funded by taxpayers. So my out-of-pocket is still $0. So this lawyer fights on my behalf for months and months, really driving the owner crazy and costing her tens of thousands of dollars. Finally, the owner decided it would be cheaper to just give me a chunk of cash to leave rather than continue paying the lawyer. So she writes me a check for $10K and I move out. I didn't even have to clean the place up, and that's a good thing because I do a lot of drugs and the house looks every bit of it.
And even though that's supposed to be a parody of Portland's laws, Portland's tenant rights, it's actually a perfect instruction manual if you want to commit this type of fraud. And by the way, this is happening all over the country. There's actually stories of this that we've covered that are happening in Texas. So if you think your property rights are secured just because you're in a red state, you're dead wrong. We've done stories about that. And yes, almost all of these cases end up getting punted into the civil court. And by the way, it's been happening in Texas for a lot longer.
How you doing? Minutes later, a locksmith showed up, but police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed. The man who claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
Now look, we did the story. We covered it. We covered the woman who said, you know what? I'm going to change the locks to my property. I may be arrested if I do so because this is how the law works in New York and it's crazy. And I think they should be forced to take me to court instead of me having to go out of my way to take them to court. So we had this situation where she did change the locks. By the way, I didn't mention in the last video, but I'll mention it now. That police officer, the female one, is attractive. My apologies for everyone out there in the audience for not mentioning that. You preverts mentioned it anyway. And she was ultimately subsequently arrested in what is an asinine abuse of justice.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction. She changed the locks on a man who claims he lives there.
Now look, there are some people out there in the audience who said, Sean, you should have went harder on the police officers. And the thing is, I would have if there was a hint of ambiguity in the law at all whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, if they would have done what is actually right, what is actually just, and arrest the squatters, the criminals in this situation that are stealing a home, knowingly doing so, which by the way should not get them any of the protections of squatters' rights, then that situation would have resulted in that person having a lawsuit against New York City. They would have gotten a settlement from the city, from the taxpayer, and they still would have been able to fight for almost 2 years the eviction case with the taxpayer-funded attorney. So no, it was not a great move, or it wouldn't have been a great move for the police to do was actually moral and right in that situation. And unfortunately, the law couldn't be more clear. An unlawful eviction, which is what this is technically deemed as because the laws are crazy in New York, is a criminal offense, but squatting, stealing a property, that's a landlord-tenant issue that is to be resolved in eviction court. Good luck with that over the next 2 years. So yeah, unfortunately, the police officers are completely powerless in this situation, even though we would love to see the actual justice be enforced against the squatters, against the thieves. Now look, as I said, a pair of vigilantes tried to evict the squatters from the property themselves. The two identified men showed up in a black pickup truck, pulled up into the driveway of the home, and started searching for tenants, according to the Daily Mail. They said, quote, "We're looking to get these guys out," one of the men allegedly said, a neighbor told an outlet, and the other one said, "I'm here to talk to him. I want to see why he's here."
We have to start at the beginning.
Adele, the hardest question is, how do you say your name?
We met Adele Andaloro outside the home her parents left her in Flushing, Queens. She's in the process of selling it. But she's been locked out. She claims squatters moved in on February 6th and refused to leave.
What's it like being here knowing you can't go inside of your own home?
It's enraging. It really is.
Now, before I dive more into what these people actually did, I want to point out that the neighbors are now talking to the press, talking about how they had concerns about people in the property because they appear to be boarding up sections of the house. They did something with the door. This was all in the middle of the night. And the thing is, if they would have called the police in the evening based on them doing this at the moment of time that they noticed this, then maybe, just maybe, these people would have been busted up. So when I see quotes from people like this college girl who is completely uneasy about these criminals living right next door to her, I just want to say, hey, you could have done something about this. You could have called the police. You could have had them out there, and maybe the homeowner would have known maybe day 1 or day 2, and that could have ultimately led to a situation where they were arrested. This whole drive to not get involved in situations like this really hurts because it was essentially on the homeowner to discover this maybe with 10 minutes after these people moved in, something like that, and then get them out because the investigation was always going to take a long time. But at least in that particular situation where they were in for the first night or second night, and by the way, they still don't have documentation to this day, as we learned from the ABC News segment.
If you own this house, you would not want her inside.
I don't own it.
Exactly,
yes.
She does.
Yes, but then once again, you should know how the law works.
I do know how it works.
There's rules to the as you got to go to court and send me to civil court.
He says he signed a lease in October, but wouldn't tell us with who.
I got proof longer than that.
Show us the proof.
Well, who are you for me to show? I showed the cops.
Dan with Channel 7 News. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it.
Come here, brother. I like that.
I would like to see it.
He didn't show me a lease.
This is a bill.
A bill for work he says he had done to the house. He didn't show police a lease either.
Maybe, just maybe, they could have got them. Now, I understand people don't know the situation, some weird activities going on, and all that. I get that that is a possibility, but you know what? Take a chance, call the police, have them come out there, get over this leftist programming that says if you ever call the police on anyone, especially if they're minorities, which, by the way, I know the guy's name is like Brian Rodriguez, so he's technically Latino, but he looks like a New York Italian to me. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, I'm Latino, I look pretty white, so maybe, you know, people in glass houses shouldn't throw hard stuff unless they're squatting in that house, and then they have the divine right to destroy whatever the hell they want in order to extort the homeowner. But yeah, maybe just call the police and see what happens, and maybe you could have saved this person a dire, desperate situation. So she ends up saying that she heard a drill and saw through my window that they were drilling holes into the wall and putting up boards. She said, quote, "I don't know if the board is still there, but it looked like they were trying to hide what was inside." A woman who requested to remain anonymous claimed that she saw one of the unethical dwellers carrying a door into the home late at night. The woman also noted that the for sale sign had been on the property for a long time before a person kind of came out of nowhere and just took over the home. Now, I want you to remember this. This guy is claiming that he paid to get work done on this property, which, by the way, I lease and rent in New York City. When you sign a lease, Nowhere does it say that you could just do random work on the property on your own and then expense it to the landlord. That is not a thing that can happen, let alone changing doors, changing locks, and whatnot. In fact, if you have any lease, it tells you specifically not to do that. Or if you add an additional lock for security purposes, that you're supposed to provide your landlord with a copy of the key. But this guy was saying that, oh, he did all this work, you know, this very legitimate construction work that he was doing at 3 o'clock in the morning in order to change the locks and add new doors and block off the homeowner and block off people's outside view from what they were doing. And it's totally legit, first class all the way. Nothing to worry about. Don't even be concerned about it at all whatsoever.
How you doing? Minutes later, a locksmith showed up, but police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court.
Now, I just want to, for this woman, you could see these people out. Remember, apparently, if you show up and you say you're a tenant, like, I know I'm joking about this, but the fact of the matter is, 6'3", 6'4", the city council person who covers this specific area is a woman called Santex and all that scam. And honestly, I hope to God that any of these people that I named, the congresswoman, the city council person, the
That's crazy. On this Bowen scandal? Damn, that's just all bad too. You guys know about the Bowen scandal? Oh, man. That was crazy, man. Squatters. Anyways, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna go to work, get things done for the day. But anyways, thank you for watching the live stream today. Whether there were people on here or not, I don't know. So we'll see. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful day.